Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 13 of the Longbox Chronicles. Tonight I will be taking a look at a little-known miniseries from Image Comics. In 1992, Todd McFarlane created a comic book icon known as Spawn. It is the story of a man brought back from hell to work for the devil. Since that time, the history of Spawn has been expanded to include numerous iterations of the title character. In 1996, Mike Grell wrote a miniseries called Spawn the Impaler. It fell into obscurity about as fast as it came out. So, is it a lost treasure or a long-buried turd? Tonight we are going to find out. Our story starts in a Romanian countryside. Some soldiers are tying a woman to a pole. Why they are doing this is never really explained. She rips out the pole and tries to fight off her attackers. She is quickly shot and her blood seeps into the ground. Shortly after, our new version of Spawn rises from the ground and quickly kills the soldiers. We cut to a nameless city where a drug deal goes terribly wrong. Spawn looks overhead and voices his approval as he finds what he was looking for. He finds two women leaving a club. One of them, Abby Carfax, decides to head out on her own. On her way, she is approached by a gang of thugs. Before they can do anything to her, Spawn jumps in and brutally destroys them. With the would-be rapist killed, Abby asks who he is. All Spawn will say is that she will remember someday. We flash back to 1462. Prince Vlad is informed that he is tasked with protecting the kingdom from the invading hordes. Before he leads his army, he meets with his lover and promises her that, alive or dead, he will return to her. Back in the present, the cops bring Abby back home to tell her parents that Abby witnessed multiple murders by someone the police are calling the Ripper. Abby notices the lights on in the old church, and her parents mention that it was being turned into a museum by a man named Drake. Before anyone asks, yes, her parents honestly don't give a rat's ass about the fact that she just saw four men brutally ripped to pieces in an alley mere moments ago. Just pretend that makes a little sense and we can move on. Later that night, Drake arrives for dinner. Abby mentions that she feels like she knows Drake from somewhere, and he says it will come back to her in time. Back in 1462, Vlad's wife meets up with Kazakla Bey, the leader of the Turkish armies storming the country. Bey informs her that Vlad is dead and he is taking over. We see Vlad's body as it is enveloped in a green glow. Suddenly, Vlad returns to finish what he started. In the present, Abby tells her parents that she is going over to Drake's for the evening. She has also taken to calling him Vlad, and her parents find that a little odd. When she arrives at Vlad's, she goes to kiss him and he reels back. She asks if she offended him and he explains that he once loved and lost a woman. Abby is confused, but Vlad insists that she will understand someday. After killing the soldiers at the gate, Vlad confronts Bey. Bey is shocked to see that the being in the armor is no longer Vlad, but a stitched-up monstrosity. Vlad's new look terrifies his wife. As he explains that he made good on his oath to her, she falls off the castle balcony and dies. As the year went on, Vlad continued to slaughter the Turkish hordes. He became known as Vlad the Impaler. Yes, folks, they just said that the infamous Vlad the Impaler was a hell spawn. It seems sort of stupid to me, but let's just see where this goes. Abby awakens from a horrible dream and runs to Vlad's place. She proclaims that she knows there is something spiritually connecting the two of them. She demands that they make love, but Vlad once more backs away. Back in 1460, you know what? I just can't take this anymore. I am sick of all the flashbacks. Would it have been asking too much for them to have just dumped all of this at the start of the book? It would actually flow a lot better if this stuff was made into like the first issue of the series instead of spreading it out throughout the entire miniseries. I just needed to get that out there. Anyway, as Vlad continues the mass slaughter of Turks, the church strikes a deal with Bey since they both have a common foe in Vlad. The holy man gives Bey an iron stake with orders to drive it into Vlad's dark heart and anchor him to the ground. They begin their assault by weakening Vlad with a cross. Okay, I guess that makes a little sense somewhere. It is never shown how they get Vlad into the casket, but they are able to do just that and drive the stake into his heart. After that is finished, they cover the grave with an altar stone so no one can ever remove the stake. Yeah, we all know how well that worked. Back in the present, Spawn is following Abby when she is confronted by a guy calling himself Wolf. She takes Wolf to the church's cemetery and seduces him there. Honestly, there is no point to this scene besides just filling pages. It leads into another goddamned flashback that shows how the world has changed since Vlad was left to rot in the ground. But it finally leads to something interesting as we see Abby's parents, back when they were part of a rock group called Bloodstains, as they go into a church and begin to drink each other's blood and make love. This causes a candelabra to fall, setting the church on fire. So now we know why the church was abandoned all those years ago. Spawn appears before Abby and everything finally begins to fall into place. Abby finally figures out what spiritually binds them. She reacts by dropping a tombstone on Spawn and heading for the roof. She grabs a nearby antenna and has a sword fight with Spawn. But Spawn is finally able to get the upper hand and throws Abby off the roof, impaling her on a nearby spire. Spawn announces that Abby was his old foe, Kazakla Bey, reincarnated, and that Spawn has finally sent him to hell. Seriously, guys, the ending is that haphazard. It seems that they didn't really have an ending when they started the issue and rushed something out there just to finish the book. Well, there we go. Spawn the Impaler. Honestly, this book would be really hard for me to actually recommend. With the horrible pacing issues, the terribly rushed ending, the moments that lead absolutely nowhere, and artwork that schizophrenically flits back and forth between beautiful and ugly as hell, there is very little good that actually comes from this book. It honestly is not a horrible book, mind you. It's just that you really aren't going to miss anything if you honestly decide to give this miniseries a pass. And with that, we come to the close of another Longbox Chronicles. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.